It is I, the shooter of RPGs, return to bring it to you just the way it is, speaking only the words of truth. Now, in these words of truth, what we're going to be talking about is an epidemic problem in RPGs, particularly RPGs in high school, early college style groups. And that is one word only, selfishness. Now, there are two distinctly different components that go into selfishness. Player and character. And they are so vastly different that we're going to go into explaining that. First of all, let's talk about the player who epidemically plays that same thing. Oh, I'm going to be neutral evil so I can steal from everybody. First of all, you can be evil as fuck, and you're not necessarily stealing from people. There's tons of ways you can work an evil character. Trust me, I've made probably a lot more of them than anyone out there. I love the evil characters, and there's tons of ways you can play them without being a problem. In fact, this exact thing, more even so than killing other player characters, is a big part of the reason a lot of game masters go NPC stamp on evil, which doesn't need to be the case. We're going to be talking about, first of all, the guy, and you've probably, if you've played long enough, if you haven't been fortunate. Now, some people, they've got golden ticketed from what they tell me. I don't know. I don't know if they have or not. I haven't played with, haven't seen that group. I might look at that group and be like, ooh, stinks like butt. But, I might look and go, oh, yeah, you really were lucky to get this kind of quality at all times, continuously. And most people aren't going to do that. You're going to go through sort of the cesspool of RPGs at one point or another. So, that being said, you've probably seen this type of person. But if you haven't, listen closely and I will go through and attempt to explain. First of all, problem number one, don't make the same thing over and over and over again. It's not making a character. You're just playing a fantasy version of you. Don't play the same thing over and over again. Play different things. That's the whole wonder. That's the beauty. That's why there's a billion classes and 72,000 races and different stat arrays and feats. So you can play different stuff. So do it. Then there's no way you're not going to find enjoyment in a multitude of characters. I've talked about this guy before. All around the world, it's the same song, and that you will find me and Tupac do agree most completely in that form. Now, the selfish player, he wants all the best shit for him. He's typically probably just been through too many bad games or he's been fucked with too much. That's basically how this psychology begins to develop. He's been beat down, bludgeoned, and fucked with just too many times to actually be able to be a mature adult about things. So he's like, well, everyone's going to be against me, the game master's going to be against me, so I have to get every statistical bonus I can. This character's probably also horrendously power gained, and he's out there. But not always. Sometimes it's not always. Sometimes it's just simply that person's selfish. They either have an out-of-character desire for a certain grouping of items, or they just want all the best stuff for them because they're like, oh, that has opulent cachet to it, that has baller status, and I want that status. So I've seen people that aren't power gamers and that are very, very good role players do the selfish gimmick too, which might almost seem a little odd at first, but it does occur. I've seen it in multiple players, and very, very good players even, where they want all the best stuff. And you'll see people they might be, oh, I'm going to play this rogue, but I'm also buy this feat over here and lets me have the tech magic, because I want to know where the magic items are. Yeah, that's an important one, because who cares about that +1 I can get? These items are going to give me so many bonuses, it's ridiculous. So they want that. Or maybe they go further and take a level of wizard or sorcerer or something like that, just for the fact they want that detect magic. Just because they want to be able to identify the items, scoop them all up. Maybe they even they want to identify as well. Because they okay, well, now I can identify it. They got that high appraise score. They're pulling all the great stuff. And if they're doing this for the out-of-character reasons, simply to have all these high stats, and they do it over and over again, they're probably going to run into problems. Like I said, I've seen fights break out over this, fist fights. I've seen loads of out-of-character arguments that completely ruin a game. I've seen tons of game masters just snap the books, drop, and the campaign's over. It all started with this sort of fundamental. And I've seen this is probably the single biggest thing that gets the red rubber stamp NPC on anything that's evilly aligned. They get it stamped on chaotic neutral sometimes. They get it stamped on the rogue or thief class. Now, I've even seen game masters try to resolve this with ridiculous ideas that just completely metagame treasure. Like, oh no, everyone only gets to pick one thing. I have questions now. Why? Oh no, you only get what's meant for you. I mean, these are all ridiculous and pathetic attempts at solution. As a game master, you can't really impose upon that. You can't. You have to let them solve it. You can talk about a character, at times, preferably not while the situation is going on, unless it's a really nuclear kind of deal where the whole game is about to melt down. But that I have to get it mentality. I have to be the one to have that, particularly the worst case scenarios where something is clearly kind of intended for someone else, or there's a great use someone can get out of something, and you just want it for a little bonus. It's like, come on now, come on now. We know somebody could get gacked and get it with a golden spike. I had to take it and just maul it right into somebody's face, make that blood pour down, make them bleed. That's sort of an inside joke there. Somebody's going to get, but making them pay the price, pain, bruise, and agony, just the hard way. But there's another deal here. The character is actually selfish. Now let me break it down for you. My man Moth, he had the character. Two different games we played back to back. This character didn't die or anything. But so there's just two different games. But they're both in Forgotten Realms. The first one he has Gregor Tracton, who's a human, a priest of Lathander, a fighter / priest of Lathander, and he was very, very good line, extremely unselfish. Just whenever there was treasure, the way he would handle it. But well, look, you guys pick whatever you want, and then just you give me whatever I want. And then most of what he got, he would just give away to people. He would give it away to the poor. He would give it to other NPCs that he thought might use it, for the religion. And when you develop your NPCs, guess what? Players start giving them magic items and important things. Either to win their favor, like sexually, or like romantically, I guess I should say, or to just because they like that character. Oh, I like him. I want to help his cause, so let me just give him, because it actually means something. They're not like, well, if you have a game where the NPCs are flimsy, it just feels like you're throwing the +1 sword in the lake, instead of giving it to them, But it can mean something there. The players can really enjoy that when you bring it back, and he's like, oh, I actually have this sword, and I was able to fight the goblin horde off. Thank you so much. And it was like, they were able to contribute to off the scene stuff, and they're able to bring it back, and they're like, oh man, that sword meant so much. Now we're so glad we did that. It's better than selling it. It actually means something. Now with the selfish player, so we had that character, right? The next character he makes, Proctor, who was a hill dwarf. No, it's not hill. What is it? A shield dwarf. A shield dwarf. Chaotic good shield dwarf, and he was pretty close to chaotic neutral. Shield dwarf, illusionist, rogue. He was not generous at all. He wanted the stuff. What could the other players say? The last character said, "Give me whatever you want." That's fine. You guys divide it however you want and give me what you think is fair. Now this character, completely the opposite. He wants it. He might slice up in his pocket. That's in character. He's playing the character. Now, this really works well when if you reverse those orders, you get a little dicey with people I haven't seen you before. But what you can say, out of character, there's nothing they can say. They just gotta go, well, your character's a greedy prick, man. But that's great role playing. You did something different than the other time. They have no leg to stand on. They really can't get mad. They got to say, well, all right, we have to give you this one. It makes sense. However, that can be kind of a rare thing. I'll give you another example of me. I think I've told this story before, so for those that have been watching for a long time, I apologize. But I had a character. He was a former slave in this setting, and I basically started the game in that jack position with nothing. I had nothing. I was a slave, and then I got shanghaied, and which didn't make any sense. My character was not. He was enormous. No one would Shanghai this guy. They'd be like, ooh, no, we'll let you be. Because it would have been some clubbering, but whatever. That's how he worked me in, because I came in a game session late. So he's explaining, how, so that's my character's psychology. He's poor, so money is freedom. That's freedom. I want to be a slave all of my life. He would try to get all. In fact, I ended up with all the party's money. They just said, well, fine, you can have it. Because see, they were metagaming. They were metagaming and going, oh, this guy's trying to be a selfish prick. And I went, no, that's not what I'm doing at all. This is all in character. But they didn't know that, so I didn't tell them that. I kept that kayfabe. So we're going to shit. Now, granted, the party has given me all of their money. I am the party treasury, apparently. They've given me all their money to hold. I'm on a ship. I'm a follower of Poseidon. We did not make a sacrifice. We left the island, obviously, in a big hurry. Stole the ship, got out of this bandit headquarters, and then this huge storm comes on. He's talking about how choppy. He's giving a good description. I'm like, oh. So my character's like, he starts praying to Poseidon for the help, and like he just says, oh, it just gets worse. I'm like, oh, well, clearly Poseidon. And I start yelling about how Poseidon hasn't been given this tribute. And I'm yelling at the other players how we should have taken and cut the throat of the calf and let it bleed out. We should have sacrificed the sheep. And before they even say anything, I take all the gold and throw it in the water. It was not even necessarily gold, but whatever the hell they were using for money. And I threw it up so it comes out and describe like the sheen of the coins flying through the air as they hit and every single person in the group, their mouths just dropped. The game master loved it. In fact, all of the players loved it, I think. They couldn't believe it. Because they said, man, we thought you were being selfish. We didn't know you were playing your character. It was, and they were just stunned. Well, why did you do that? Why would anyone do that? I said, well, so after the game, I'm like, well, my character believes in Poseidon. He believes Poseidon is real. He believes Poseidon controls the waves. He believes Poseidon would be upset because we didn't make a sacrifice to him. He also knows Poseidon is essentially greedy and would take that sacrifice now. So I'm going to make it because this is just gold. I want to live. I want to get back to land. Of course I don't care about this gold. Of course it has to go in the water. Of course you gave that to a guy with 7 wisdom. I had a 7 wisdom score. And throwing all your money in the water, not a good common sense decision. But it's not that I just went out there and went, hey, throw all the money in the water. Hey, let's throw the halfling in the water too. No. It wasn't silly. There was a tremendous situation of stress after a post-traumatic stress-inducing situation. Makes sense in the psychological aspect. You think about it. Yeah, Poseidon might spare us if we appease him. Hopefully it's not too late. You can't just give him the leftovers. You have to give him everything right now to not incur his wrath. That's what I did. Again, not a selfish player, but a selfish character. So it's very important if you do have a character that's selfish because it's kind of a bad stigma in RPGs that you illustrate ways that you are. Again, the best Carbon should do that is play a character that's not selfish, and then you could go into one that is, and it works fine. But the player does it over and over again. That hoards all the choice magic items, hiding the things away. It develops a taste, and I've almost never seen people being happy about that in terms of if they think it's the player doing it. Now, a lot of people, when they're good role players, they'll say, "Well, that is the character." They're like, "Well, okay, we'll give you, we'll have to suck it up and give you a pass." I mean, that makes sense. That's your character. You're playing your character correctly, but. And even then, when you're doing that, you want to limit it at least a little bit. You don't want to just be crazy off the charts. That comes to character design, character creation. To give them a reason or not, just hoarding everything, just looking at everything, just wanting everything. It'll work a lot better. It'll make more sense. It'll be more believable. It'll come off less dickish because it's a very fine line you want to walk. You do want to render your character appropriately. You do want to play different kinds of characters, but you don't want to disrupt and destroy the game. And remember, everybody loses when a game that you enjoy just stops. You've lost. That's how you lose in RPGs. You no longer get to play this game. Or this game master, maybe the game master doesn't want to run any more games. Or maybe he doesn't want you in the games. Those are all losing situations for you. You've damaged the hobby, and that's a bad thing. But, if in the right circumstances, you can do it. I'm not trying to say you cannot do this. Don't make a character like this. You can. But if you could put over and let them know and see that you in fact aren't doing this because you're a prick, it's your character doing this because just to put it very simply, the character's a prick, that could come across. It can work. It might not work in all groups, but in a lot of groups that'll work. But very seldom, almost never, is that deal going to work when the players are trying to force it. They're just trying to force it just to get all the stuff. It's very transparent, very see-through. And let me hear your horrible stories about how people are trying to jack you and be selfish, or how you got smacked down when you was trying to play the selfish role, or if you is a selfish player, I guess you could try to defend that, but I don't really know what you're going to say. And how many of you have seen games ruined through these actions? I think it'd be interesting to talk about.